So today I'm gonna show you how I create lino stamps. For example, this flower here, it turned out like this. So I love carving personally. I feel it's a great way to dive into the zone and to just carve. It's very meditative, and also you can just independently from other printers create your own prints, and it's just a very fun process. This is like an A4, it's called Earth Children, and I created like prints with it, and also I tried some of the textile printing. So the field of lino printing is just so big. I can just recommend you to try it out because it's really fun. If you would like to create a lino stamp, what you will need is the lino itself. So for this one I took like a 4mm lino standard plat. This was actually an A3, and I wanted to create like a big print out of it, but I never finished it, so I'm just gonna get the Kali energy and I cut it through, and I'm gonna make something else with it. But you can also buy like another kind of lino. This one is a broken stamp that I made. It was actually like this. This is more like a rubber, which is also possible. There are so many different ways of doing it, but I personally prefer this one, so that it's not gonna happen. The next thing that you're gonna need is a design. So for this design I chose one illustration that I drew like the last week. It's this one. It's kind of like a Sphinx creature. It's the tree keeper actually, and I incorporated like elements of the light and the darkness. So I printed that out, and what's really important when you print it is that you mirror it, because when you stamp it, it's gonna be mirrored. So that's what happened to me with this stamp actually. As you can see, you can read it in the right direction, but I couldn't like when I printed it, because then it goes the other way around. So note that. You can use any design. You can just hand draw a design and you're fine too, so whatever you prefer. The next thing that you're gonna use is this stencil paper that tattoo artists use. It comes with like this package, and there's always like a middle paper. I'm always removing it, and I'm gonna use the top paper that is like glued to the whole thing. We're gonna use like a pencil. I'm gonna take not like a soft one. I personally take like an H. You're gonna put the design over the paper, and you're gonna just go through the lines again, and through the pressure it's gonna create the stencil. So here we have our stencil. We are gonna use the white thing because the blue thing is just like for the transfer. So the next thing that we are gonna do is we are gonna put the stencil stuff on the lino, so we can transfer the stencil on the lino. Don't need so much. Just like this, and I'm gonna put it on with my fingers, so it's like, shouldn't be too thick, just like a thin layer, very thin layer, because when it's too wet then it could be that the lines of the stencil get blurred. So we're gonna make sure that we have the perfect amount, and it's just like on there a little bit, and then sometimes I'm gonna let it a bit dry, you know. This looks great, so I'm gonna take the stencil and place it. When everything is sticked on and I can already see the lines blurring, I'm gonna just check, and it looks great, so I'm gonna remove the stencil, and I love this moment. The stencil stuff is still a little bit wet, so I'm gonna just let it dry. So meanwhile, I've been starting to carve while my camera was charging up. This is where I'm at right now. I started with the face and then I started to cover around the main shape. My personal tips are I start with like the smallest thing that I can find. It's like the smallest sharp tool, and then I just really softly sharp it out so I have the shape. Because when I do carving, I tend to really give it all, and in the beginning I cut my hand quite a lot because those are knives, so you have to be quite careful and do controlled movements. That's why I feel like it's very meditative, because when I carve I'm very focused and I'm just very I'm trying to control my movement as much as possible so I don't cut my finger and I get the shape right. Because I remember in the beginning it can be quite scary because you only have like one goal, and when you ruin it you have to start again. So I never did that. I always just trusted in my hands, and yeah, it's not gonna turn out like perfectly because it's a handmade craft, so don't be too hard on yourself, you will get better. Let's go over there. So this is where I'm at right now. I already done quite a bit and I'm already very tired. My arms are so tired, but I've already got rid of a lot of material, and here I'd like to show you that I usually don't do it like perfectly in the beginning. I use like the biggest one I have to just get rid of the surface, and like the cleaner version of it comes like when I go for it the second time. I'm currently taking a break. My arms hurt so much, but I'm finished actually, I can show you. But this is where I'm at with the design. I'm very happy how it turned out, and I'm gonna just take the day very chill and do some touch-ups during the day, and later on I'm gonna try my first test print. So the sun is setting. Today has been a very active day. I feel pretty tired. I did a print session in the afternoon and I'm so happy with how they turned out. When we finished carving and we have our stamp, we are gonna need some Linol Color. We are gonna use one of those rollers. Then you will need kind of like a tablet where you will spread the color. I personally use one of those service tablets. And for printing, aka pressing, I use the good old spoon. I also have one of those tools which are this is very great for textile printing. So whenever I do textiles I will use that one, but for paper I'm gonna go with this one. First I applied the color on the tablet and I used a little bit too much actually. You don't need so much to make prints. Then I started to make kind of like a square and roll it, and then I realized there was too much color, so I used another square. And you will notice like the noise which will tell you that you have the perfect thickness of the paint. So for me it was still too much, so I made like a new square, and then you could hear the sound. So next I was placing the stamp and I started to paint it. So with the roller I tried to reach every corner of the stamp to make sure the print gets very clean and complete. And I really take my time with that. So next thing, I choose 2 papers, and if you want to make sure that your print is like in the middle, I really recommend to make like a tape around so you know where to place the paper and you really have it in the center. But I just did it with my eyes. So when I placed the paper on the stamp, I started to press, and you will see when you press hard enough that the design is coming through, and that's what we want. And this is the magic moment, and the prints turned out so amazing. I really love them. I also tried out some textile printing because there was like an old project I never finished, and it turned out so nicely. Yes, liner printing really is such a cheap and fun thing to do. You don't need a lot of materials to get it done, and there's like so many ideas you could realize. You could print t-shirts or bags and make your own prints in different colors. You can print so many different designs. So I really hope that this video inspired you and maybe gave you some tips on how to print with your own stamp. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and for more videos, subscribe to my channel. My name is Nina, I am an artist, and you can find more of my work on my website and Instagram page, and I just wish you such a beautiful day.